All righty then. Welcome, everybody to Coaching Connections for November 2024. Again, I hope everyone had a fantastic day today. We've got a lot to get in today, so we're going to dive right in. We're going to start off with our poll question. Joe, if you would not mind reading the poll question and the results.
Okay, got it. So we've got how do you really feel about turkey? There was three choices: love it, it's fine, meh, or I'd rather eat tofu. So we had 4% that would rather eat tofu. We had 58% that said it's fine, and 38% that love it.
Okay, so interesting. Okay, so we're kind of like meh. So we're kind of meh there. Okay, so let's discuss just really quick. Like raise your hand, please. If you love tofu, I got to hear from you. If you love it, go ahead and raise your hand for me, please. Sorry, turkey. If you like turkey, just love it. Raise your hand, please. So I mean, like actually, like the Zoom, raise your hand. Not actually raise your hand like this, but like on Zoom. Go to your name and raise your hand, please. There we go. Okay, so we got some people jumping in. So Christian from Portage, if you wouldn't mind unmuting and please explain why you love this very dry bird.
If it's prepared properly, it can have a lot of solid flavor. Obviously, it's good for protein, but it's just the preparation. My family always does a good job. So I'm partial.
Okay, so help us out. Help us out. How does your family prepare this? What is so special that you say that you love turkey? Like how do they do it? Like how do they keep you interested?
Well, a lot of times they change it up from year to year, so it'll always have a different taste, and that just kind of keeps me interested in it. So that way I'm, always guessing like, is it going to be more smoky this year, more sweet, more spicy? And that just keeps me coming back.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, we'll hear from one more turkey lover. Let's go to Lisa. Lisa, unmute yourself for me, please. So tell me, why do you love turkey so much?
Well, the only reason why I like turkey is the dark meat. That's pretty much it. The dark meat part of it.
Well,
it's not dry, Terrence. All right.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I just have some really ill-prepared turkey. So I'm glad that you enjoy it. All right. So most of us were in the meh category. I was also in the meh category. So we had 4% say that they hate it and would rather eat tofu. So whoever said that, could you please raise your hand?
What's up?
I was told that I'm able to get like a.
All right. So Zach Green. So, okay, Zach, so you hate turkey, just hate it. But
I wouldn't say hate it, but
okay.
I'm a ham guy myself at Thanksgiving. Normally we got both, and ham's always like it's sitting in its crock pot, right? It's in all the juice. Get some of that on there. I think it just flows really well. It's juicier, it's tender, it's more delicious.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So when it comes down to it, would you actually eat tofu over turkey though?
No.
Never. Okay. Fair enough. Me either. That's just awful. All right. Well, thank you all for your participation in this one. All right, guys. So let's dive into our topic of conversation. So this is going to be a refresher for some, and for some of you, this is going to be a brand new topic. So the subject of this month's conversation is going to be our perfect training session standards. So those of us clubs that were not in MDS, we've been doing this for over a year. So basically, these are the standards that we go by to make sure that all of our sessions hit a certain standard. They're the guidelines that we look for in every single session, no matter what. So these standards that we're going to go over aren't necessarily talking about how well you perform or how like the experience that you give, but just the steps that really make up a consistent session. That should happen no matter what club you go to, because that's really the tie that binds us. Because when you go to a different club and you work with a different trainer, they can take the same workout and it'll feel different based on how that trainer coaches. And that's perfectly fine. but the standards is the ties that bind us. So that's the level of service that you should experience at every single club in our system. That is what these standards are meant to help us do. So our former MDS clubs, this is a new concept for you guys. Now, you did have standards before, and a lot of the things that you guys have done before, they're the same. They're very, very similar. But there are some things that might be a little bit different, some things that might be a little new to you. But these are the standards that we're going to be implementing moving forward. Now, some of these things we're going to open up to discussion. And some of these things, they just kind of are what they are. And if you want to have deeper conversations, we will absolutely take the time to have deeper conversations later. But we only got an hour, so we do have to keep this one moving to a certain extent. So if you have some big questions when we get to that point, write it down and reach out to myself, Chris Helwig, Mario Sanchez, any one of us, or even your district manager, and we can talk about that at greater detail. So we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to show you the document to start off. Joe, we have permission? I have permission to share screen, correct? Yep, looks like I do. Perfect. Okay. All right. All right, folks. So this is the perfect training session document. So right up top, you can see that we have 9 session standards that we look for in every single session. Okay. So we're going to take each one of these sessions one by one. Some of these we will have some discussion about. Some of these we'll have some videos about. Some of it we're just going to tell you what it's all about. But again, as we look through these, none of this is like rocket science. This is all pretty simple stuff. And if we follow these guidelines, you're probably going to have a really, really great consistent sessions across the board. So jumping into our first step, step 1 is start on time. Okay, so there are 2 things that we're looking for with this. Was the coach on the floor before the session was scheduled to begin? Why is that important? Why is it important? So let's open this one up. Why is it important for the coach to be on the floor before the session is scheduled to begin? So hands, please. Hands, please. All right, let's go with Will Smith and Stoughton.
It's important because number one, it's the culture of our, what we're selling. You know what I mean? We, in the strategy session and all that, when we sell the training to the client, you want them there to introduce new clients to, who's in the room, and you want them to lead the warm up, to be there as a representative of our, of our brand, and just that's what clients want to see. That's what I want to see. If I walk in there, the coach is there, introduce himself, give me all the information I need, make me feel comfortable, safe. Not just. It just would feel weird if I walked in there with strangers in there warming up on their own, no coach, and just me not knowing who to talk to and this, that, and the other, just already off to a bad start. So that's just upfront and personal. That's how it has to be.
Absolutely.
Hands down.
Absolutely. All right. Let's go to Kiernan. I think I said that right.
I would say mine's similar to Will's, but just if any of the clients have questions or new limitations or injuries or anything like that, all those things can be discussed before the session starts. That way it's not pushing time back for everybody else.
Absolutely. That's a great time to get that information. Let's go to Defoe.
Mainly rapport. That's just kind of what all of that boils down to, is just gaining a rapport with everybody and knowing that you're prepared for your session and ready to go. And but all of those things mentioned previously kind of go under making sure that you have and keep that with your clients.
Absolutely. Yeah. Being on the floor gives us the ability to build that time, build that rapport, get all that information. But it's also very professional, like Will said. Don't we hate when we show up to an appointment and people aren't there? So people pay a lot of money to work with us, and their time is valuable. So we would show respect for that time by being out there. It's like, again, this is really self-explanatory. The second step would be, did the coach set up specialized equipment if applicable? So this would refer to, like, if the Madison clubs, some clubs still run team training. So sometimes you're building big circuits. The last thing you want to do is to spend like 2-3 minutes within the session to build these circuits. Sometimes you have to, but most of the time, if we have this already ready to go, then we can just jump right in with our clients. Also, like, if you're going to need certain things during the day, like if you got your TRX set up for whatever the workout is going to be, if you've got like your barbells or whatever you need in the area for whatever you're going to be doing that day, that's all a part of that. Again, very good for time management on those things. So again, start on time, step one, self-explanatory, pretty easy on that one. Awesome. Okay, then step two, this is the welcome. So this is that part where we kind of all touched on this, where we're starting to build rapport. So the first step is, did we greet the clients? So how will this look? For different people, it will look different ways, right? Me, I greet everybody individually. You know, some people do like this group thing. You know, some people like, you know, shake hands, fist bump, whatever. Doesn't really matter as long as you do it. But we want to make sure that everyone feels welcome in that space, right? So that greeting is super important. Did the coach ask clients about injuries or limitations? So obviously, the first time you work with somebody, you're going to ask that question just like that. Is there any injuries or limitations I need to know about? But beyond that, when you work with somebody for like 5-6 years, like some of us have done that, how would we then ask this question? Because we are looking for you to ask this question, but how would you go about asking that particular question with someone that you already know or you've been working with? We open that up. So hands for this one, Quinn in Wausau.
Yeah, I honestly would just approach it the same. Any new injuries or limitations that I should know about before we start?
Sure, absolutely, we can go there. Let's go to Middleton.
Yeah, that's a good one. Also, like if there's any soreness or aches and pains from a previous workout from that week.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that you, Alex?
Sure.
No, I can't see your picture. Was that Alex or was that Adrian? That was Alex. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
All right, cool. Absolutely. Yeah. So just kind of checking on them in the moment. You know, obviously we don't want to keep asking any injury limitation, you know, but then it's like, are you paying attention to me at all? But as every day comes, a new day comes, new injuries happen, new aches, new pains, new situations. So getting familiar with how they are at that moment is super important. So, you know, I just simply ask, how are we feeling today? I already know about your knee. I already know about your back. I don't need to hear about that unless it's flaring up. But, you know, just giving them that opportunity to let you know how they are in that moment is super, super important. And then the third step, did the coach introduce new clients if applicable? Now, why is this super important? Open this one up. Let's go to Anna.
Because if they're new, it could be very overwhelming for them to just kind of jump in. But if they're just like feel welcomed, everyone knows who they are, they can like motivate each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go to Nicole in Watertown.
I would say it's important because it allows that new client to feel welcomed into the session and doesn't make them feel outed or like outside of the group.
Absolutely. That is super, super important because it's kind of like, think about like gym intimidation, how real it is. People coming into a situation that they don't know. And sometimes they're coming into a situation where people have been working together forever, right? So how can we as coaches facilitate that comfort to kind of raise that comfort level? How can we facilitate that off the top in the welcome? All right, let's go back to Defo.
So essentially that intro is not just for the new person, new client, you know, that's coming in, and it's equally important that it's for that client. But like you said, a lot of people are working together, have been working together now for, you know, some of them 6 months, some of them a year, some of them several years. So having a change of environment is just as important as our long-term people as well as our new people to feel comfortable. So being able to have that introduction not only is important for that person, but also those people as well.
Absolutely.
So making that strong connection, be like, hey, you know, Mar and Janelle, Mar, like individual, like having that is like, it's a super important in that aspect as well.
Absolutely. Let's go to Tyler in Oregon/Verona.
You could like open with an icebreaker too, or something where you're asking the whole group of questions, so they all have to give an answer, so they're kind of forced to interact right away. Like, what are the Thanksgiving plans? Anyone got anything going on this weekend, kind of thing? So
yeah,
you're instantly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Icebreakers work wonders for sure. There's another more practical thing that we can even do. Depending on like your session size, I know some of us like have sessions that are like massive, like 6, 7, 8 people. So when somebody comes in, they put their mat down, it's very possible they're going to put their mat in a spot that someone typically goes all the time. And I don't know about you, but I'm very neurotic when it comes to like making sure people are in their spots. I'm like, they know where to go when it comes to that. So us as a coach, could we not have the mat, have the foam roller set where we want it? Kind of so that new person come in, I've already got this ready for you. It's already set. Not only are you showing consideration for the people that are already there, but you're showing consideration for them so that they have that spot already prepared for them. They just come and sit down there feeling like, oh, wow, my coach is already noticing me. So these are just little things that we can do to make a new person feel welcome. And as we're about to go into busy season, this is going to be super, super important because we want people to stick around for as long as possible. All right, we're going to jump into step 3. So step 3 is the explanation. So the explanation basically refers to setting the stage for the workout. Getting people ready for what's coming in the workout, giving them an idea of what to expect. So the 4 things that we're looking for is, did the coach explain the program's training stimulus? I'm going to pull in Chris Hellwig here real quick for this part. I didn't tell him I was going to do this. All right, so Chris, our training, by the way, Chris is our programmer, so he handles a lot of the programming right now. So Chris, when we talk about the stimulus and when we're looking for our coaches to explain that, what are we talking about specifically?
We're talking about things like power, strength, hypertrophy, muscular endurance, and cardiovascular endurance. Those are the main ones that we're targeting. And we want to kind of relate this maybe to things that they're going to do throughout the day. Like, okay, so we're working on strength in these exercises or muscular endurance in these ones. All that kind of helps mentally prepare your clients for, what they should be feeling. I mean, You might need to explain what strength feels like to some who might be a little bit more newer. But when you got a really seasoned group and you can just say, okay, we got power today. We're going to start off 3 exercises, super powerful. Then we're going to go into strength and then some endurance later. They get it and they're ready to rock. Right.
And so when we talk about the other 3 steps that we're looking at, did the coach talk about load? Did the coach talk about tempo? Did the coach talk about heart rate? How does that all relate to the stimulus while we're talking about the explanation?
Yeah, basically you can just use it as assisting you in explaining what the stimulus is and how that's going to affect their body during the workout. At the top of every workout that's sent out in the description, I actually break it up. It's specifically for load, tempo, and the heart rate. So if you're not super familiar, you can always relate back to that. But basically, whether it's a strength workout, you're going to want to make sure that they're using like heavy loads. You're going to give them an expectation of at the end of the set, your heart rate's going to be spiked up. You're going to want a little bit of rest after that. And you're going to need to make sure you're moving in a controlled manner. So explaining that it's different than power, which is explosive and fast, or different than muscular endurance, which might be even slow tempo, that kinds of stuff.
Right.
You can kind of like specify for the general goal for the day.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. All right. So we're going to look at a quick example of a coach who has done this really, really well. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for the moment because Joe needs it. We're going to take a look at Jet Reese. He's a trainer out of North Mad, and he's going to give a good example. We're going to see a good example of how we do that explanation very simply. Go ahead, Joe.
Two circuits of 3 movements each. Movement number 1 is going to be a 4x6. That's the power emphasis of being nice and explosive on those movements. Number 2, we got double racked squat. Oh, sorry, I'm reading it off. We got 4x8s. All right, so that's going to be in between that strength and hypertrophy. So going a little bit heavier on the weight, something that is challenging those 8 reps. And then we have 3 rounds of 12 for our core to finish off each circuit. Heart rates make it elevated. Grab water when you need it. We have plenty of time today, so feel free to take breaks. Otherwise, we're just going to do a longer finisher. And who doesn't love a longer finisher? Sound like a plan? Sweet. Let's get you warmed up then, grabbing onto that foam roll.
Thank you, Joe. All right, so you guys may have heard my phone going off. Jet is blowing me up because he's upset that I showed a video of him wearing his glasses. Apparently he wasn't at his best. But But Jet is actually a really good example of how to execute this, because he gave them just enough. He didn't give them too much that it kind of overloaded their brains. He gave them just enough to focus on. And when you execute these standards as well as Jet does, and as a lot of our coaches do, that leads to a really, really great product on the floor. Like, case in point, Jet, I'm going to shout you out here. And dang it, it's going to be in the ether now. But we had four conversions of 6-week challenges this week, and they pretty much all exclusively work with Jet. And Jet is one of our best when it comes to executing the standards. He's also one of our best when it comes to bringing up new trainers and learning the craft. So 5 conversions. Thank you, Jet. So. All right, give him his flowers. It's fine. So, when we execute these things on a high level, it leads to strong programs, because we're going to convert and convert and convert. And there are a lot of programs out there that are doing just the same thing. But I'm going to shout out Jet, because I did embarrass him, because I know those were his classes. Anyways, all right, cool. We're going to move on. We got, let me share again. There we go. Going to move on to the next step. I'm going to move a little bit quicker here, y'all, because this does take a little bit of time to get through. All right, the dynamic warm-up. Now, before we go into the warm-up, the next step would be workout demonstration, and the workout demonstration and the warm-up can be flipped depending on the situation. So, if you got a really long circuit, clearly you're going to do the warm-up, the demo first before you do the warm-up, because you don't want your clients just hanging around waiting for you to twiddle their thumbs. So we're going to actually have Chris Helwig talk about the warm-up, the reasons behind why we do them, because some of this, I know that the warm-ups that we do might be a new concept or a new thing for some of your clients. So we want to give you the whys behind it, to why it's so important. Chris.
Sorry. All right. So first, I want to talk a little bit our background information, why we are running it, or it looks the way that it does. This is based off of a 6-phase warm-up generated by PPSC, Pain-Free Certification Specialist. So, or specialist certifications. They are a company that is well-renowned, nationally known. They work as an additional accreditation service for things like NASM and ACE. So definitely highly recognized and respected. The certification is created in conjunction with Dr. John Russin, who has a doctorate in exercise physiology. He's consulted and brought in medical doctors that have specialties in sports medicine as well. And he's also worked with a doctorate of PT to kind of work on these guidelines. So these are basically the most accurate current scientific understanding of how to best prepare the body for an effective workout. Now, he has 6 formal phases. We have a little bit of a blend of a couple of these just to try and save a little bit of time. And I'm not going to go into the phases in super detail, but I'm going to read them off really quickly to get you a little bit of an idea. Phase 1 is myofascial release. So that would be working with things like foam rollers or active mobility tools, tennis balls, that kinds of stuff. And then into biphasic stretching, which if you want to research a little bit of that, you can. Then that mostly is working on our mobility. That's kind of the main chunk that those 2 areas focus on. So we always start with mobility. We want to educate our clients on what we're doing and why we're doing that. And typically the mobility that we're looking at is we're going to try and release the tight muscles on the anterior portion of the body. As we know in our society, we're typically leaning forward, shoulders are in, we're doing a lot of sitting. So we're trying to release the muscles that are most commonly going to be tight or limiting factors for other movement patterns. Then we're going into the middle 2, which is written as a corrective exercise and as activation. So these are the ones that you're going to see where maybe there's a little bit of a different stretch or a mobility exercise, or working on engagement for the core, the shoulders, and the hips specifically. We want to make sure that we spend a little time with each of those so that everything is connecting properly after the mobility work that we've done. Typically, we want to be activating our posterior parts of the shoulder, the hips, as well as the core, to make sure that we're protecting our spine as we move through other movement patterns in our workout. So the last 2 that we're looking at are going to be large movement patterns and CNS prep. This is where you're going to see things like a lot of lunging or push-ups or rowing of some sort. The last few that we've done are things like the squat rows, the reverse lunge with pull-aparts. These are meant to really get the larger muscles that we have, our primary movers, to really warm the tissue up, to get the mind starting to connect a little bit with the body. And the last thing, the CNS prep, that's the central nervous system preparatory work. Those are going to be things that have a little bit of agility or patterning, but we're definitely picking up the tempo. Those repetitions should be done at like a sprint pace. And the design really there is to make sure that the heart rate is elevated. The body is reacting and recognizing, oh, shoot, I got to start pumping some blood. We got to really get going, and we got to get focused that, you know, we're actually going to be doing some serious stuff moving forward. So that's like the science behind each of like the phases and how our warm-ups are broken down. Typically, these should take anywhere between, I don't know, 6-10 minutes. It just kind of depends on how fast your individual sessions are, how experienced your lifters are. But making sure that we have that dedicated time in mobility, we're not necessarily rushing that. We're encouraging greater range of motion throughout the month. And then we're focusing and making sure that people are properly activating and engaging, and then finally hitting that CNS and really getting everything going. Okay. So this is definitely shown to properly prepare the body so that you are more effective in the workout itself. Okay. By doing this properly, I've had tons of clients come back from the first of the month to the third of the month and just say, oh, I feel so much better. I'm already really connected with the workout, ready to go. Or look, I can actually do this exercise where at the beginning of the month, they weren't necessarily able to. Reflect on the Spider-Man with the rotation and the hip lift. I got so many people that now can actually get their legs to straighten with the hip lift, whereas beginning of the month, they're just like, I can't even move my foot at all. So it's definitely a great opportunity as a coach to create some change right away. So looking a little more specifically at what we want in our session standards for the dynamic warm-up, we want the coach to be leading this or demonstrating the exercises. And that's really important because, well, one, members aren't necessarily going to just elect to do the Spider-Man with the hip lift and rotation. It's not a super comfortable thing. And there's a bunch of little steps. We want to make sure that as coaches, we're demonstrating that and we're teaching it the proper way. And we're encouraging clients to do better and, you know, work a little harder throughout the month. We want to make sure clients are starting on time and finishing on time. So typically you'll see that our last exercise is written for like a time frame, like 30 seconds. It's a great way to help kind of control your session and really make sure that everyone's finishing at the same time. People aren't just randomly walking off and already getting equipment, and, you know, others are feeling like they're falling behind. So if you're in a group setting, this really helps keep that group mentality moving forward. The coach provides alternative movements. I mean, we'll see this again a little bit later. Not everybody has the same abilities as we're going into this. You might have people that can't get down to the ground or have shoulder injuries or hip injuries. So being able to come up with alternatives for the exercises that are going to be the bigger ones is going to be important. So things like, you know, maybe doing that Spider-Man from an elevated position, or maybe doing part of that Spider-Man movement for those that are able to only do a portion of it, can be really beneficial and keep them moving along with the group. And then last but not least on this, we want to make sure that as coaches, we are educating clients as to the why. I just spent a little time with some of that background information. You don't necessarily have to break it down that deeply for them, but you can talk about like, look, we're stretching our chest. You should be able to get further. You can now, you know, raise your hand greater and greater throughout the range of the month. That's what we're going for. We want to make sure that you are able to be mobile. We want to make sure that you're connecting with your body. We want to make sure that your heart rate's up and that you're toasty warm, ready to go. Those are some of the like quick little phrases that I use as I'm going through the different phases of the warm-up.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Chris. All right. We're going to dive right into step 5, which is workout demonstration. So first step, do the coach do a proper 2-rep demonstration? Though we only do 2 reps, the reason for that is 1 time. And 2, you know, if you show 2 reps, 2 proper reps, people should be able to pattern that. You only show what you want. You don't show what you don't want. So you can always cue things like rounded back and neutral spine as you're talking about it, but you don't want to give people the idea of, oh, you know, you don't want to do this when you're back on a deadlift. So don't tell them that or show them that, because it kind of plants that seed. Also, again, we only have so much time, you know, in a session. So show them what you want, not what you don't want. We can always coach some of that stuff out later. Did the coach educate clients about the area of the body being exercised? So obviously, if you're doing TRX rows, you're working your lats. If you're doing bicep curls, you're working your biceps. We can go into deep stuff if you want to, but most clients don't care. But just give them the general idea of what they should be feeling as they're going through that work. Did the coach relate the intended training stimulus to each movement? So did we talk about the load? Did we talk about the tempo? And what would be the effect on the heart rate for each movement? And it might vary from exercise to exercise. Even though the focus of the day might be power, the next move in the set might be a strength move. So you would then delineate between how you would exercise a power move and the strength move. So you want to have those details so that people know exactly what to expect and pick their weights appropriately. Did the coach provide at least one alternative exercise for each movement? Now, this is probably the most important aspect because we need to give our clients autonomy to make changes when they need to. So we typically always give at least one regression. Now, the reason we give a regression versus a progression is because people think they're stronger than they actually are, and you show them a harder move, they're going to want to try it. So let's get them good at the prescription first. But, you know, when people have, when we give them regressions and we see them use that regression, that actually gives us a cue to go check on them, see if there's anything wrong, help coach them into better movement. So we always want to give at least one regression for every single move in the workout. And if you're not sure on how to regress exercises, it's all in the builder. So there's always an alternative for every single exercise. So moving a little bit quickly here because time is running away. So step 6 is the workout. So Chris is going to quickly go over what we're looking at with those steps here.
For sure. So this is the main phase of the workout where you've demonstrated you release everybody, and now it's kind of like, well, what do you do? Rather than just kind of sitting around in the back, we want to make sure that coaches are actively engaged. If we got clients down on the floor, they're closer to the floor with them, or if everybody's standing, we're avoiding just sitting off in the corner. But really, this is an opportunity for you to give everybody a little bit of that like individual attention. So you'll see here that we have individual cueing techniques. That's more of your like talking quietly with one person. Hey, I want you to shift your foot here versus there. Make sure that your shoulders are back. Above that, you see group cueing techniques. That's just reminding people of the next exercise. Or in general, if you see people all doing the same thing improperly, you can pause them and you can do a quick demonstration again to make sure everyone's on the same page. As a coach, we also want to help monitor recovery, as that is one of our big pushes here. We do training, nutrition, and recovery. So giving recommendations for water breaks, or hey, go ahead and take a little walk around a little bit. You're getting your little too amped up for what we're looking for right now. So really, it's this section and these yes or no's are all about, are you staying engaged? How are you engaging with your clients? And making sure that you're giving everybody the best workout that you possibly can.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris. Mm-hmm. All right. Step 7 is the finisher. Did the coach start everyone of the finisher at the same time? Again, this is pretty self-explanatory. We want to make sure that everybody's flowing together in these sessions. So not letting someone jump ahead, that might make somebody feel like they can't keep up. So when we can control that, make sure everybody starts at the same time. So if you do have somebody that's working a little bit faster, give them a little extra work until everybody's ready to finish it. Perfectly fine. And did the coach demonstrate the exercises for the finisher? You would do the same, you would go follow the same steps that you would for the workout demo when it comes to that. Step 8 is the cool down. So what we're looking, did the coach lead the cool down? Now, typically we look for the coach to actually do the cool down movements with the clients. Now, what cool downs do you do? So in the builder at the bottom of every workout, there is a prescribed cool down, but we're not necessarily tied to that. A lot of you know a lot of cool down techniques. And if you got something that works better for you or you think might work better for this particular day, do it. It's fine. As long as we got recovery in that, we just need to make sure it happens. So you absolutely have autonomy to make those changes that you see fit, especially when it comes to that cool down. And again, we're looking, did you keep the proper cool down for the workout? So what does that mean? If we did like heavy, like squats that day, but you didn't foam roll the squats, you didn't the quads or stretch them or do anything like that, I would probably be a no, because you didn't attack the area that was mainly worked that day. And then the final being gratitude. Did the coach show appreciation towards the clients for their attendance? And this is self-explanatory. People spend their hard-earned money and they work hard for us in that time. So we want to make sure that we show our appreciation for their time coming in. So again, friends, as I went through most of this, a lot of this stuff is really easy. It's really self-explanatory. We're not reinventing the wheel when it comes to the perfect training session document. But again, all of this really comes down to the standards that hold us all together. Okay, so like I said, this is what we're going to be using moving forward. We've already been doing this here in the Madison, in the previous Omega clubs. NDS, this might be a little newer to you, and some of the standards that you already have, sure, if they fall in line, go for it. But this is what we're going to be looking forward as we do our film study, as we're going to be doing with our audits moving forward into the future. If you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to reach out to myself, reach out to Chris, reach out to your DM. We can absolutely help you with the whys and everything behind everything. All right, friends, we got to keep this moving because we got still a lot to get to. We're going to head to Mario Sanchez. He's going to go over our warm-up for December. Mario, you got 5 minutes, man.
All right, you guys, how's it going? To start off with our warm-up for December, we're going to get into our chest. So grabbing the foam roller, we're going to place it at a 45-degree angle coming down. And then from here, we're rocking back and forth, trying to apply pressure into the chest. So looking for that pectoral region right in between our shoulder and our armpit. So if somebody can't undo this going down to the ground, then another great option would be to get into a stretch along the wall, opening the chest up. So if you have any clients that have a hard time coming down to the floor as well, another option. But this is also another really great time to emphasize breath work. Our clients are constantly on a go, go, go fight or flight mode. So starting off by really slowing them down and diving into those tender areas and making sure that they're breathing. Next one is going to be your quads. So we're going to start just above the knee, working up towards the hip, and then coming back down. So same thing, we want to emphasize working on breath work as we're working up and down that tissue. If they find a tender spot, then they can spend a little bit of specific time right on that spot. And once again, emphasize talking about breathing with them. Once again, if somebody can't go down to the ground, we can grab onto a post and then we can also do a standing quad stretch. From there, we have a diagonal side sit. So we're going to come down to the ground. We're going 90-90 with our legs. If my left leg is in front, my left forearm is also going to be down. Other hand is going to go behind the head. I'm going to open up, leaning back, and then rotating over that front leg. Once again, that is a moment to where I can breathe. Really trying to open our hips up as well. You'll even feel a stretch along the back as you're doing this. If you want a further stretch, you can reach that hand further and then going along with that. Once again, if they have a hard time getting down to the ground, they can go onto a box, take a seat, going into a figure 4 from the seated position. And then from here, leaning over that front leg and taking a breath. So from the side view, coming down and across. From there, we're going to start to get into more of our activation and correctives. So we're going to go into an inchworm or hand walk. So walking the hands out into push-up position and then walking it back. So trying to stay nice and stable as we get into that push-up position, engaging our core, engaging our glutes, and then also working on a little bit of hamstring mobility. If somebody has a hard time doing that from the feet, we can go from the knees. And then same thing, walking the hands out as far as we can, and then walking them back for 10 reps. If somebody can't go down to the ground, we can do this off of an elevated surface. So we're going for shoulder taps for 10 reps on each side. Then from there, we have our hip airplane. So this one is once again a little bit of mobility, but also glute and core activation. I recommend using a wall to help with support, but we're getting onto one leg. We can grab onto a post or a wall, and then we're internally rotating the hip, and then we're going to open the hip, focusing on engaging our glute. You can do this freestanding as well, but it is way more difficult to do that. as we're opening up. So I recommend using a wall. They'll get way more out of it. Then from there, we're going to get into an around the world lunge for 5 reps on around the world. So we're going forward lunge, lateral lunge, and then reverse lunge, and then reverse lunge, lateral lunge, forward lunge. If you want to make it more dynamic, you can add a reach with this as we're stepping back and across. Reaching out in different positions, exposing our tissues to different lengths. If somebody has a hard time with doing any of the lunges, then you can omit one of those lunges or use a TRX. I'm using some rings at home right now, but same thing. They can be assisted. And then just focusing on stepping back and making that movement smooth. From there, we have a straight arm lat pull down for 15 reps. So grabbing onto a resistance band, anchoring it over a bar, and then from there, we're pushing back into the hips and pulling down, focusing on engaging our lats. So everything along the armpit. If you want to make it more dynamic like a skier, then you can as well. And then our last one is going to be an X-line drill for 30 seconds. So starting with our feet about shoulder width apart, hopping in and out in that X pattern. If somebody has impact issues, then we can go into a lateral floor run or box run to where we're stepping in, out, trying to elevate their heart rate. And that is the warm-up for December.
Perfect. Thank you, Mario. Appreciate you covering that. And folks, this pretty much goes without saying. Obviously, if you've got clients that some of these moves simply do not work, you can make adjustments that make sense for your client. And also you can make adjustments for your equipment circumstance. So if you don't have certain pieces of equipment or you don't have enough, think of the pattern and find a way to make it work for what you have. You guys are smart. A lot of you have been doing this for a long time. You still have autonomy to make these choices as you need to. Okay, so don't feel like you have to do this exactly as is, but as long as we're in that pattern, we're hitting those points. That's what we're looking for when it comes to that. Before we move on to the Coach of the Month, there were some best practices, things that we did not discuss when we're talking about the perfect training session document. I just want to really cover that real quick. One of the questions that we got that come up a long time is how long should a session take? So we allot an hour, but should we really take an hour to do a session? No, because you can't really take care of yourself or your clients if you do that. So the sweet spot is between 50 and 55 minutes. That's your sweet spot. Sometimes sessions, especially like if you're running team training and it's base, sometimes it'll be even shorter than 50, but really it shouldn't really be any less than 50. So that's just something I wanted to bring up because a lot of people have asked the question about how long should a session run? Should we take it the whole hour? Should we be done at 45? But 50, 55, that's kind of really what we're looking for as far as that sweet spot. So just wanted to bring that up real quick. Okay, let's move on to our Coach of the Month selection. Let's hit to District Manager Nick Ziegenhorn. Go for it, Nick.
Thank you. You got it right this time. I'm proud of you. All right. So I have the pleasure of announcing our Coach of the Month for this month. I've had the pleasure of working with this coach for honestly not that long so far, but he's really surprised me. Main thing is working really long hours just to make sure that everything is covered throughout the day, working some like 12-hour shifts a lot of days, like 3-4 days a week, just to make sure everything is covered in the middle of that, making sure phone calls are done, making sure all the admin work is done. Every single session I've seen from this coach has been absolutely amazing, hitting all the session standards, even when I'm in there for a workout early in the morning, right away, 7 o'clock, they're ready to go every single time. Also helping with training a lot of new MITs and holding everyone else accountable and part of that team. And the big kicker for me, honestly, was at the end of all of that, after meeting with them, the question that they asked me after working that 12-hour shift is, what else can I do better and what else can I do to help? Like, that stuff goes an absolute long way. So I have the pleasure of announcing that this month's Coach of the Month is going to be Logan from Kaukauna. I think I saw him on here. So if we could highlight him, that'd be great. And say a few words. Don't let your head get too big, though. Oh, there's Danny.
Sorry, guys, I'm over here. Is that my floor? Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't got too much to say. I love what I do. I love my members. I mean, I want to give them the best service. Like everyone said, they pay enough money. You know what I mean? So it's the least I could do. It doesn't really feel like I'm working at the end of the day if I'm on the floor helping other people's goals out, you know? So I don't know. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, Nick. Thanks for all the good words. I don't.
Oh, Logan.
Let's go, baby.
I think that was Letty and Nathan up in De Pere.
Yeah.
Logan, we'll get you something then too next time I see you next week then, okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
For sure. Thank you, Logan.
Good stuff. Congratulations, Logan. I can attest to Logan's work ethic. He and I got a workout in when he came down to onboard with us. I'm still sore from that. And that was months ago. Logan, you're awesome. Congratulations. All right, y'all. So time to have a little bit of fun. All right. So we are in phase 2 of our year in competition. This time we've got our second set of clubs that are going to be competing here. All right. So listen for your club. Listen for your club. When I call out your club, the first club that gets their answer in the chat, the first answer correct in the chat, will be moving on to the next round. I will not be watching for the answer. Kristen is going to be watching for the answer because I completely flubbed it, and Portage and Eastman got screwed last time. I made it up to Eastman already, but Portage is going to get another chance to compete. So, all right, listen up. Dodgeville, Mount Horeb, Platteville, Sauk, Middleton, Reedsburg, Richland Center, Sun Prairie. You are up. First one to enter the correct answer into the chat moves on. All right. Your question. Idina Menzel and Cynthia Erivo both played the misunderstood witch Elphaba in this Broadway play turned movie. Reedsburg. All right. Did they get it right?
Mm-hmm.
Wicked. Perfect. All right. Congratulations, Reedsburg. You will move on. Nice job. All right. Next, La Crosse, downtown, La Crosse South, Eau Claire, Onalaska. I hope I said that right. Prairie du Chien, Franklin, Kenosha, and Muskego. You are up. Your question. Over 5 minutes on a treadmill would be an example of what training stimulus? 5 minutes on a treadmill would be an example of what training stimulus? Muskego looks like that. Is that Muskego?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Muskego got it correct. That is cardio. Excellent, Muskego. Congrats. You move on. Next, we got Port Washington, Mequon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Menominee Falls, Heartland, Stoughton, Verona, Oregon. I hate saying it that way. It's Oregon.
No, it's Oregon. Here.
Whatever. And Waupun. All right, you are up next. Mequon. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Ford vehicles are native to what country? Ford vehicles are native to what country?
Verona.
Who got it? Verona? Verona. Okay, nice job. The USA. Congrats, Verona. You move on. Next, we've got Wales, Waukesha, Mukwonago, West Salem, Portage, Shorewood, Okan, and Ripon. Your question, and there are multiple answers here. I just need one correct one. Name one of the 4 highest paid NFL quarterbacks of 2024. Portage. Okay. Jordan Love is on that list. Portage, congratulations. The answer is Dak, Mahomes, Jared Goff, and Jordan Love. Awesome job. Awesome job. All right. Joe, can you highlight Reedsburg, Muskego, Verona, and Portage, please?
People want to have you read a list of Wisconsin city names since you're from out of state.
Absolutely not.
But you get 1 point for everyone you get right.
Absolutely not. It is Oregon. I don't care what anyone says.
Yep, say one more time.
Okay, I got Reedsburg, Muskego, Verona, and Portage.
Okay. I'll find them. There's a lot of people in here.
Everybody blank your screen unless you're one of those 4, please.
That will help a lot. There's Portage. Yep. Okay, Verona, right?
Verona.
Let's see, Tyler. Okay.
And Reedsburg.
Reedburg. Okay. No, I saw him on the list. What's your guys' screen name? Reedsburg. Is it just Reedsburg or Anytime Fitness Reedsburg or something else?
I think it's AF Reedsburg.
Is it Reedsburg?
Toward the top then. All right, they're there.
Perfect.
So too.
Well, let me spotlight them. There's a camera not on, maybe.
Reedsburg, is your camera on?
No camera.
Camera's broken.
Oh, camera's broken. Okay, gotcha. All right, well, okay, Reedsburg, just we won't be able to spotlight you. That's cool. Just make sure you are quick on this one. All right, so second round. First, we got 3 questions. The first question, the first 3 clubs to answer correctly in the chat will move on to the next round. Okay, so it's between Muskego, Portage, Verona, and Reedsburg. Okay, question number 1. Samuel L. Jackson used colorful language to express his irritation with this reptile on an aircraft vessel.
Verona's in. Okay. Muskego's in. Portage is in.
Okay, all right. So we got Muskego, Verona, and Portage. Reedsburg did not answer in time, but thank you for participating, which is fine because they're not on the screen anyway. So it's all good. All right, thank you. Next question. The first 2 clubs to answer. We'll move on to the next round. Okay, so put your answer in the chat. Name the North Russian dog best suited for snowy terrain.
Verona's in. Portage is in.
Okay, Verona and Portage. Muskego, we were just a little too slow, so Verona and Portage will be moving on. Joe, if we can remove Muskego, please, from the spotlight. Thank you for participating. All right, Portage is back with a vengeance. They're like, you screwed us last time. I want to get this. Okay, so between Verona and Portage. All right, first to answer, we'll move on to face De Pere at the final coaching connection of the year. All right, I did not mean for that to rhyme. All right, to play dead is to play what? Dang, Portage. Congratulations. Well done. Well done. All right, Veronica, thank you for participating. But Portage has got the nod. So it'll be Portage versus De Pere. Portage, would you like to say some words here? I'm choking on my space.
Appreciate this opportunity. It's been a ride.
You know, Christian, I felt really bad that we missed you last time. So I am so happy that you came back and redeemed. So you will get the match that you should have got last time. So Letty and the team at De Pere, I'm sure they're going to be ready for you guys. So you guys get ready for the final competition, which is going to take place at the final coaching connection of the year on the 20th of December. So congrats, Portage. Good job. Good job. All right, y'all. So we're going to bring this baby in for a close here. So a couple of announcements. So remember, we're off tomorrow. It is Thanksgiving. So don't come in unless you want to. Okay, and then we got Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. So that is December 24th, 25th. That is a Tuesday and Wednesday of December. We will be off those days as well. Mark your calendars for the last coaching connection of 2024. It is going to be Friday, December 20th at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. We are doing it early because Christmas is that following week. The holiday schedule is kind of messing things up. This is a mandatory meeting. If you are on the clock, this is mandatory. So managers working 12 to 2, block your calendars off. Try to get everything done because it's going to take the rest of the day. When we're done, you just want to be able to send your prize and go home. So make sure that you block this off. This is a mandatory meeting, Friday the 20th, 12 to 2 p.m. All righty then. So MDS clubs, former MDS clubs, You have a meeting with Joe right after this one, so we're going to have you guys stay online. We are going to, after Joe does this very special announcement, and we will see you on the next Coaching Connection. But everybody stay on until after Joe makes his announcement. Joe, take it away.
Thanks, Terrence. Okay, I think a lot of people already know this, but just for clarity, I want to let you guys know what we're doing for Black Friday and Cyber Monday this year, and just share a couple really quick best practices of how we can make the most out of it. So there's two offers. There's an external offer that we're going to, be reaching out to existing prospects, penders, past members, alumni members from the past. All of those will see this message, plus some social media advertising. And then, of course, our own outreach too, like our own phone calls and texts and so forth. So that external offer is going to be marketed as 50% off membership dues. So this is huge. This is absolutely the best offer that we've ever done. That's honest, transparent. You should be proud of that. You should be loud with that when you reach out to people. We've never done something as big as that before. And there's a lot of urgency in an offer like this too. This is going to be only available basically from this meeting, now until midnight on Monday. That's it. And then it's all over. Okay. Couple important things to know about that external offer first is we're not double dipping on this one. I mean, that's incredible. That's really basically as low as you can possibly get. So pay nothing till the end of the year, that's over at this point, and it's going to be replaced with something even better for Black Friday and for Cyber Monday. So that's our external offer. As far as making the most out of this, there's a couple things I want you guys to do pretty much right after we're done meeting. First thing would be, go on your club's website and just triple check for us. There's a lot of websites to adjust in a short period of time. I want to just make sure that everything looks completely accurate. So there are clubs that started with different rates. So you may see different numbers on purpose. But check out your club websites, make sure that your options, your 12 and your 24-month options online are set up at the right price point. When we're done with this meeting, I'm going to send you guys a few things. One of those things is a shortened link that you can use that'll drive people to your page. This is going to be, Morgan did this for us. Morgan put a little extra work in to give us some links that would work better in texting, because otherwise when you're texting somebody with a link to join, in ClubOS, you get a limited number of characters. It would take up most of your text message. So we have a shortened link that'll still drive people to the purchase pages for you. You'll get that from me. I'll wrap up the other meeting by about 3:30. So shortly after that, you'll see that for your use. And as far as the best practices for this goes, I think if I looked in my crystal ball, there's going to be some people traveling today for Thanksgiving, right? There's going to be people out shopping, on Black Friday or traveling back home from Thanksgiving or still with friends, family for holidays. So I think we're going to have a little more time than a normal day for phone calls, for blocking out some time and doing phone calls. So to take full advantage of this, I want you guys to, block some extra time in your calendars, like pretty drastically increase your outreach. And then anybody you're not reaching, anybody that you're not getting a hold of, if you leave a voicemail, just let them know on the voicemail, like we talked about, tons of urgency. There's only a very limited amount of time to lock this in, and be excited about the discount being the biggest we've ever gone. And then right behind that, you can send a text to that person with a link to join now so that the time doesn't run out, so they can take advantage of this. And I think if you really increase your outreach, this will help you finish the month very strong. Okay. I'm going to remove my spotlight. I've got one more thing to share with you on the PT offers too, but I know there's a couple of hands up. So Melanie, what do you have? Oh, I think you're muted still.
Can you hear me?
Now you're good.
Okay. Can we go Facebook Live and use our phones to show this in our Facebook Live?
I don't see why you couldn't. Yeah, you can be loud and proud with this starting right away. Those links, just keep in mind, you won't have the shortened link from me until probably like 3:45 or so. It'll be the first opportunity I'll have to get it out to you with a meeting recap. But yeah, you guys can be pretty loud about it. Very short timeline on this. It's going to get shut off by Tuesday. It will all be over for sure by Tuesday. So just make sure you keep that in mind too. Okay, Manoa, what do you have?
Hi. What's the renewal rate for these?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. For these ones, because it's such a short timeline, you could just auto renew it at the existing rate. So as a regular practice, Omega Fitness will go through and, you know, we'll at least take a look at all of our memberships in our system that are open-ended, and we do evaluate if there's a time where it makes sense to go through and give people a notice to bring them up a little bit. So because this one's so short and it's not a month-long promotion, you can let it auto renew at this price. Good question.
Joe, do you want me to share the links with everyone?
If you don't mind, that would be awesome because that'll make it faster for them to
Yeah.
go crazy for the ones that aren't on with me. Yeah, thank you.
That's good. Yep.
Okay, PT, we have an internal offer as well. So here's the details for existing members, what we're doing with PT. It's going to be 50% off our short-term packages. So our 3-week jumpstart, half price, 6-week challenge at half price. So the best use of those packages, you probably have people you're thinking of right now. I know a lot of people on this call, MXMs, club managers alike, have been prospecting pretty hard the last couple of months and building your PT programs. And there's probably at least a few names you're thinking of where somebody was on the fence, they were maybe nervous about a longer commitment or budget concerns. And those are great people to go after with, again, the excitement and the urgency of having something that's perfect for them, but they really got to act like now, this afternoon, this evening, or Friday, right? So the best use of that is to use it as a way to build your PT pipeline, you know, take advantage of helping people that maybe otherwise wouldn't have acted. And then like Terrence and Chris and everybody's been talking about today, have a great product that delivers results for people, and then they're likely to convert. You know, they're likely to stick with you long term. So best use of this one is go get those people that were nervous about, you know, those concerns that, you know, kept them from getting started before, and then we'll go ahead and convert them later. Okay, so that's going to be our PT internal offer is 50% off. Okay, Kieran.
Are we able to sell as club managers the 6-week jump start with it half off and then it go run into the 50% off membership afterwards?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can add one on right with your membership sales. Yeah, that's available to everybody. It's available to everybody. Yep. Because in that case, they're becoming a member and they get access to it too. Yep. Terrence.
Joe, I'm sorry. This isn't about the promo. I completely forgot. I needed to give away a gift in the meeting for participation. We did a random number. Tyler in Oregon, you are getting a gift card coming your way. So thank you for participating.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to answer one more question. And then if anybody has any really specific questions on those things, you can ask your district managers. They will have most of the information. And then feel free to reach out to me too if you need to. But I saw, is that also through Monday at midnight? The answer is yes. So now technically it's a manual process to turn off the websites. So we're not necessarily going to hit it at 12:01. And if somebody sees it at like 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning before we turn them off on Tuesday and they buy it, we're going to consider that like Bob Ross would, and it's kind of like a happy accident and it's a new member and it's all good. Okay. So it'd be a happy accident if somebody gets it after midnight. No big deal. Cool. Okay. All right. Everybody except for the MDS region, you guys are free to go. If I don't talk to you beforehand, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you for another good meeting. MDS region, we'll go ahead and get started as soon as the meeting settles again. Okay, Kieran, did you have something else too? I didn't want to ignore you.
No, I just forgot to put my hand down.
Okay, no worries. Was that?